creator of Silky Sacks, and I'm here to show you how to dye a synthetic wig. But before I get into that, first I'm going to ask you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you've hit this video, you're obviously into wigs, and we are too here at Silky Sacks. So if you want to see wig reviews, hair tutorials, how we use our fabulous products on our hair, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and then hit the bell so that you'll be notified whenever we drop a new video. And if you're watching over on Facebook, thank you so much. Go ahead and give our page a like, and also like and share this video. And the last thing I want to ask is, if you are into wigs, which I'm assuming you are because like I said before, you did come and watch this video, then I would encourage you to download our free ebook, The Ultimate Guide to Wigs, by who else but Silky Sacks. So I will leave the link down in the comments section below, and the book is free. In the book we talk about human hair, synthetic hair, the difference, where they come from, and we also talk about this very thing, how you can dye a synthetic wig. So I know that you would benefit from it, and let everybody know. And like I said before, it's free, so go ahead and do that now. Without further ado, let's get into how I took this synthetic wig from a 613 blonde to this beautiful icy blue. Using this outre wig called Crush. It features a perfect hairline, so it says there's no plucking required, and it's coming in the color 613. It also comes in other colors, but if you want to dye a synthetic wig, it has to be as light as possible for the color to take, so I recommend a 613. It is a lace front, as you can see I'm showing you here, and it comes with 2 combs on the side, 1 comb in the back. The wig also has adjustable straps and an elastic strap. So now I'm going to take Vaseline and rub it all on the lace part of the wig cap. Since naturally your hair is one color and your scalp is one color, we want to also do that with the wig that we're dyeing. So in order to keep the lace, which would be the scalp part of the wig, from dyeing, you can protect it with adding Vaseline. And I'm just adding the Vaseline to the cap part and not necessarily to the front, because that's where we're going to cut the lace front off of the wig. So you just more want to focus on the cap part. So now I've turned on my pot of water to start heating it up, and I am using a pot that I got from the Goodwill because the dye does have the potential to stain your pots. Now, as you can see, I've only filled the pot up halfway, and that's because the more water you have in the pot, the more diluted the dye will be. So if you want your hair to be super saturated and pigmented, then you need more dye. Since I'm only using 2 bottles, then I didn't put a lot of water, but you are welcome to put as much water or dye in it as you want. Just remember, the more water, the more dye. Now I'm putting on gloves to make sure that my hands are protected and it won't get dyed as I'm dyeing the hair. So now I'm picking up the wig, and I want to keep the curl pattern, so I don't want to let the water get too hot. If the water is super hot, then the curl pattern will change. I'm using RIT synthetic fabric dye, and that's the key when dyeing a synthetic wig. It has to be fabric dye and not regular hair dye, because synthetic hair is made of plastic, and the plastic will not absorb the dye, so it has to be synthetic dye for fabric, because it, again, is plastic. So now I'm just pouring the whole bottle of the dye into the pot, and I'm just doing a test, seeing if the water is hot enough and if the color will take. So I would just put the ends in there, and as you can see, it did take the blue. So now I'm dipping it in deeper, and again, I'm being careful to not leave it in there for too long, because I don't want the curl pattern to change. If I just was to drop it into the pot and let it stand there, it would boil, and if it stays in there too long, the hair will become straight. So if you don't mind the hair being straight, then you can just drop it in there, but I'm doing it in increments of 5 minutes. So I dip it, hold it for 5 minutes, dip it, hold it down in the water for 5 minutes, lift it up to see how much color is taking, making sure the curl pattern is staying, and again, dipping it in, down again, and on and on and on until you get it to the color that you want it to be. And I'm just pushing it down in there so the roots can get really dyed. I didn't really want the strap to get dyed, so I was trying to hold on to it, but I couldn't keep holding on to it without it getting the wig fully submerged. So now I'm just letting it fully submerge, and now, like I said, holding it for increments of 5 minutes and then pulling it back up to make sure it's taking. Now, you can't tell because it's kind of getting blurry, and I apologize, but the blue isn't as blue as I wanted it. I wanted it a little bit more saturated, so I'm pouring the second bottle of dye in there. Now, if you want it super saturated, I would say you might want to use up to 6 bottles of dye, depending on how dark you want it to be. But if you notice, most people, when they dye synthetic wigs, they turn out kind of a pastel, and that is why, because synthetic hair is made of fibers, and the fibers contain plastic, and plastic does not absorb dye. The dye will just kind of sit on top of the hair. So in order to make it work, you got to make it get more pigmented, you got to really add a lot of color. So I'm just dipping it into the hot water and making sure that it's all getting saturated. Like I said, doing it in increments of 5 minutes. If you didn't care and you just wanted to be dark and straight haired, you could just leave it and you wouldn't have to do what I'm doing here. And so now I'm just taking it out, and I'm happy with the color, and I'm happy that the curl pattern is staying. So now I'm just grabbing a trash can that I use, and I'm going to squeeze out some of the excess water and then placing it inside the trash can because I don't want it to get all over my counter and all over my floors. It is really messy dyeing synthetic hair. I would even recommend using plastic to put on the floor and on your cabinets if you're doing this in the kitchen. That way you don't have to do so much cleaning up when it's all said and done. Now, traditionally, when dyeing hair, at this point, you would take the hair and rinse it. But because it's synthetic, I'm not going to rinse it because, like I said, because the hair is plastic, the dye is just sitting on top of the hair and not really penetrating inside, and I don't want to wash the dye in the color that I have out. So I'm squeezing the excess dye out so it won't drip all over the place and make a mess, and putting it into this garbage. And as you can see, this is the color. If I wanted it darker, I would have added more bottles of dye to the water, but I'm happy with the color that it came out. So now I'm just going to take a hanger and hang the wig from the top of the wig onto the hanger so that it can hang and dry. And I do recommend putting a towel underneath because it does a lot of dripping, as you'll see now. So I let the hair dry overnight, and once it's dry, as you can see, the lace didn't dye, but the cap did. I'm cutting the lace front off, and I'm kind of cutting jigger-jagged to make it look like a natural hairline. This wig did have baby hair, but I did cut some off when I cut the lace, but I'm not a big baby hair person, so that's fine with me. If you do like baby hair, be careful. So now I'm placing the wig on, and because I didn't rinse it, I did get a little dye on my hands while I was styling it, but not enough that it couldn't wash off with just soap and water. I did add a scalp with some concealer to the part, and I did also put a little mousse in there to help with the frizz. So that's it. Share with me down below if you like it, and also what's been your experience with dyeing the hair. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, better care is better wear.